I'm getting out of here next week. Serve my time.
I heard you've been telling people the first thing you were going to do when you walk out of here is get a gun, look me up.
I never killed nobody that wasn't trying to kill me.
Stay clear of me, Joe.
You do the same. Otherwise, most likely you're a dead man.
Senor Max Borland is a private investigator.
I wouldn't try anything foolish. Walk away from that gun.
Joe Cribbins.
What, you know?
He's a dangerous man.
My whole life I've done impulsive things. They don't always work out.
Mr. Borland, I doubt that you're familiar with Private Elijah Jones. He's taken a white woman, my wife, Rachel.
Well, Elijah ain't up there with nobody. If she with Elijah, it's because you want to be.
I am willing to offer you $2,000 to bring Rachel back.
We did what we done, and we just saying to all of them, go straight to hell.
Forget this white woman. Don't let nothing interfere with what's good for Alonzo Poe.
Mr. Borland, are you under the impression that you are rescuing me?
Your husband is on his way here. I am to watch over you until he arrives.
When my husband gets here, he intends to kill me.
You lock me up, Tiberio Vargas might not like it one damn bit.
If Tiberio Vargas becomes angry, it could be trouble.
Are you getting nervous?
I don't like being lied to, and I don't like being used.
I guess it's time to see how good you really are.
Maybe the easiest way out of this mess is to shoot you.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the fellow with the gun.
Most men are afraid to be mid cards.
You will follow orders.
See this, Esteban? You put a gun in it, and it's the devil's right hand.
Welcome to Meet the Biz. Oh my God. Okay, everybody, this is exciting today. I saw the movie the other day, Dead for a Dollar. OMG. You have to go watch this movie and watch this man's work. He is incredible. He has charisma. He has mystery. He has star quality because he is. I mean, I've known him for years, and I just, listen to some of his credits. Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, ER, Angel, Walkout, Malcolm in the Middle, Our Brand is Crisis, Ocean's 13, and of course, Dead for a Dollar. Here he is today, Luis Chavez.
David, it's such a joy to join you and you guys, everybody else who's watching. You know, for me, it's always nice to kind of like talk to fellow actors, you know, and kind of like learn, like I said, learn from each other, because that's what we do. You know, as actors, we're always learning, you know. So thank you so much for the invitation, David. I know like I was saying earlier, you know, it's like we've known each other for a long time. We just never had an opportunity to kind of like get together and kind of like, you know, pick each other's brain. So here we are, and I'm so happy to be here, especially during this season, you know, like all this beautiful energy, you know, gratitude and everything that everybody's kind of like exuding. So thank you guys for, you know, being part of this talk that we're having today.
Well, it's a blessing to have you here, and it's great. It is interesting. You could know somebody for a long time, but never really like have a one-on-one hangout. And today is the perfect time.
And when you come to LA next time, we are gonna get lunch. Okay, so just let me know when you're in town. And okay. You know, you've been letting me know in the past, but I've been, you know, kind of busy, so I haven't been able to.
Kind of busy. I mean, the stuff that you've been doing, the red carpets. Oh my God, I have to like add Christine. Let's see here. Add this. Look at that. Look at that red carpet over there, everyone. Oh my God. And the cast. Okay, let's talk about this amazing new film that you're in, Dead for a Dollar. The first question that I wrote when I was watching this is like, when did you learn to ride a horse?
Okay, you know, it's I don't know if you ever knew this, but I I grew up in Mexico in a very small village, and actually riding horses in those circumstances, it just kind of like comes naturally. It's something that you do because it's not like if you have cars to go somewhere, you know. Unfortunately, our family was so poor that we didn't have a horse. Horses are expensive. We had for a while a donkey, but my grandpa had horses. So a donkey and riding a horse is kind of similar. You know, it's kind of like a tricycle, you know, like a bike on wheels, and then you learn how to ride the donkey, then you can move on to the horse. My grandpa had horses, and I remember riding them there. Again, when you learn, it's just kind of like when you learn a language. You just kind of like go with it. You really don't follow any kind of instructions because everybody does it. So there is no like, oh, this is what you do first and this is what you do next. You just get on it and let's go. But just like riding like something that you don't practice and you don't do often, even if you know it, you become rusty. So for me, when they asked me to join this movie, I knew that I was rusty. I haven't ridden a horse in over 20 years. So I basically, one of the things I asked is like, actors, please say if you are able to ride a horse, because if you don't know how to ride a horse, basically don't even submit your audition, because we don't want to have to teach anyone. When I first submitted the audition, I purposely did not say if I could ride a horse. So when because I knew that I was rusty. So when they asked me to do the second take for me to resubmit for a callback, if you will, they said, and please have him say how proficient he is in riding a horse. So I was like, I don't want to lie. So basically what I said is what I just told you, you know, like I grew up riding horses, and that I was not, it was important for me for them to know that I was not afraid being around horses, because that's one of the big things. A lot of actors and people are afraid of being around horses. You know, they're very powerful animals, and one of their kicks can actually send you to the hospital, you know. So it's a valid fear, but I'm not fearful of that because I grew up around it. So I just said that. I said I grew up around horses and I'm not afraid of them. So basically I never said, oh yeah, I know how to ride it. So but once they actually told me that I got the job, then I made it a point. I didn't, even though I know that when you're on set, they have a team that will make sure that you know how to ride a horse, and they will train you. They're not just gonna send you on a horse because you told them you know how to ride a horse without any kind of like pre-training or refresher. Right. So every day you have someone there, you know, a wrangler, kind of like telling you how to ride a horse, what to do, the mechanisms of a horse body. It's so interesting, you know, it's like you have to, where you have to put pressure with the inner thighs or the inner legs into the horse for you to kind of like make him go and release if you want it to stop. So there are so many mechanisms that is like I was not aware of, but before I got set, I made it a point that I wanted to be as prepared as possible as an actor. So out of my own pocket, I actually, before I even flew to New Mexico, that's where we shot the film, Dead for a Dollar. Before I even flew there, I hired someone locally here, I think it was in Santa Clarita, right, to teach me how to become familiar with the horse, because I wanted to kind of like become reacquainted with horses. So yeah, I took some classes and for about, I think it was a total of 3 or 4 classes. And that's how I started kind of like getting more comfortable around horses. So when I got to set and they introduced me to the trainer and the stunt people that were going to be taking care of us, I already knew, kind of like, it's not like, oh, I haven't seen horses in 20 years. No, I was like, oh, I just saw a horse a week ago. You know, I was riding a horse a week ago. So that gives you more of confidence where you just kind of like just get on the horse and feel like the character. So that's when I really learned, I guess, in a way to ride a horse.
I love that. I love that. And you said New Mexico? Where in New Mexico?
You know, we shot outside of Santa Fe. We were shooting for about, well, I was there for about 7 weeks. And the film probably shot like in about 10 weeks. So. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, to work that with the director, I mean, it's such a name, Walter Hill, who, you know, I mean, 48 Hours, Aliens, The Driver. I mean, so many things. How was it working with Walter Hill?
You know, to be honest, I wasn't familiar with him.
Yeah.
And as an actor, I think it happens to all of us actors. Unfortunately, a lot of times we don't, and it happens once. I mean, I hope I'm the exception, but I feel that I talking to other fellow actor friends of mine, they tell me that sometimes you yourself kick yourself out of the game by thinking, oh, I'm not right for that part. Oh, they would never cast me for this. Oh, I'm not even gonna submit because maybe they want someone who's more masculine or something like that. And I don't fit in that Western world. That's exactly how I felt. I almost did not submit my self-tape because of all those doubts. Because I was like, and then two friends of mine, they're sort of like, I said, oh, I have to do a self-tape for a Western. They're like, oh my God, I can see you in a Western. I'm like, no, I don't belong in Westerns. My energy is not that masculine and blah, blah, blah. That's what we do as actors. We sometimes do a disservice to our own talent and to ourselves by doubting, by already becoming a casting director who probably is gonna disqualify us. And instead of kind of like saying, yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
One thing that I always want to keep in mind, and I'll get to your question soon, and I think because we're among actors, is that when a casting director, now that I'm actually, and I'm making so many detours, but I think it's important. Right now I'm working with a casting director, being a reader for casting. So now that I'm actually on the other side of the table, seeing how casting directors work, I'm learning so much. And one of the things that I've learned, I would like to share with all of the fellow actors here, is that if a casting director is approaching you, is because of who you are, because they know your energy. It's not because they want to see what you are not. So a lot of times we get an audition and we try to put on this other personality, this other energy, because, oh, this character probably is manly, or this character probably is strong. But you're like, no, the casting director already seen your picture, your reel, and they know your essence. So basically they want to see what you do with that essence. They don't want you to put on someone's essence that you're not. So that's something that I'm learning. So for me now, I take a new approach to my auditions. I try to embrace my natural essence because casting knows what I am, and they want to see what I can do with that. They don't want me to become Arnold Schwarzenegger, because if they wanted that, then they hire him or someone who has that essence, you know?
They want Luis Chavez.
They want the energy that we all individually exude, you know? So I think it's important to keep that in mind as actors. If you get an audition, they want to see your energy, embody this character, you know? For me, I was not familiar with Mr. Hill, Walter Hill's work. And then I watched Geronimo, which is one of the movies that it's a Western with Matt Damon, I believe is in it.
Right.
I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this guy, he is a master of Westerns. You know, Walter Hill has been doing Westerns, and he's very well known for that genre. So for me, it was really intimidating. Now he's in his 80s. I was like, he's worked with all these big names. Geronimo, the stunts in that film, I was just like, honestly, like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, you know?
It's a dream. I mean, that cast you were with, and they were with you, you know? I mean, what was it working with that cast?
You know, I showed up to set in New Mexico, and I did not meet the director until probably, and I'm not even exaggerating, okay? I know that sometimes we exaggerate, but I'm not. Yeah. Probably I did not meet Mr. Hill until 30 minutes before they said action. Okay? And I had auditioned, and they had given me all these notes, and I'm like thinking, all of my scenes are with an Oscar-winning actor, Christoph Waltz, and an Oscar-nominated great actor, Willem Dafoe. All of my scenes are with these two actors. To me, I'm like, basically, they're throwing me in the ring, and I have to be able to kind of like come face to face with these great actors, you know? Just the fact that I was cast, knowing how much responsibility as an actor I had by having to act with these two stars, it was just such a compliment. So I was terrified. Honestly, I was terrified, especially because I hadn't met the director, and they said, your scene is gonna be like in what, 40 minutes. Then they said, Walter would like to meet you. I'm like, I go into his trailer, and I said, oh my God, thank you. Because I was like, how am I gonna do my first scene was with Willem Dafoe. If you watch the movie, it's the scene where I'm inquiring about why he killed an Englishman, in the cantina.
Yeah.
That was the first scene that was shot. Okay. So for me, I was like, okay, you gotta go. Like, I mean, there is no time for you to kind of like start learning and kind of like getting your feet wet. It's like, you're gonna go straight and facing this actor,
Yeah.
So I asked the director, I said, thank you so much for having this talk with me. And I said, I have a question. He said to me, look, Luis, if at any time you have any questions about your character, just refer to your audition tape. Because I never even met him, even through casting. We never had a Zoom audition, nothing. It was just self-tape. I sent a self-tape, notes, another self-tape, you got it. So basically, I didn't even know what he looked like. Not even like you and I are talking right now, we didn't even have that as an audition.
Wow.
They booked me off tape. So for me to meet him on the first person, and I said, I have so many questions about the character, blah, blah, blah. He's like, if you ever have any questions, just reference to the audition tapes that you sent.
Yeah.
And he said something so nice and so empowering, and for an actor, if a director tells you this, he says to me, I just want you to know that you didn't book this role because the other actors were bad. You booked this role because you understood the character. So for me, it was like, okay, thank you. So once I had that seal of approval and him telling me, I did as he said. Every time I had a question about a scene, I would just look at my audition tape that I had sent to him, and I'm like, okay, so that's the energy, that's the essence, which started making me questioning, like, because in this genre in the 1800s, perhaps characters that were softer, like my character is, that is not the macho that I'm gonna, shoot you. They perhaps we're not used to seeing those characters in that genre of film.
Yeah.
Everyone is tough and about to kill you. But my character was softer. So for me, the fact that I had never seen a softer character in that genre, it started kind of like playing with my confidence. Oh my God, am I being too soft? But then I thought, wait a minute, he said that I understood the character. That means that whatever choices I made were the right ones, and I need to stop questioning myself.
Well, that was so wonderful about your character too. And hearing you say this now makes me really understand the levels that he brought to it as a director, because yes, as a Western and, everybody shoot 'em up kind of thing, you have all these strong characters, but to have that balance of humanity in there, which you brought to it, that, your own, as you say, essence, that's what made it so, sparkle. It made it shine because of that.
And I feel that, yes, sometimes genres have a very specific blueprint as to what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the fact that this director who started doing Westerns or films back in the 70s is now doing this Western in 2022, is able to embrace diversity and change within a genre. A genre that he knows so well. It's not like it's a total new genre that he doesn't understand. It's like he knows it well. And for him to be okay with introducing characters that normally you would not see in that genre, and be like, you know what? It's a new era. There is diversity in the world. And these characters, like the way I represented Esteban Romero, I'm sure they existed in real life back then. It's just that they're not represented. I don't know if if it's out of place or whatnot, but I identify as non-binary personally. Yeah. So for me, don't worry about the pronouns, because for me, I don't mind them. I can be any pronouns. I have no issue with any of that. I know myself, I know who I am, and that's all that matters to me. So in order to kind of like have characters that perhaps represent it, because I wanted to infuse it with that, you know, I wanted to kind of like bring forefront perhaps a character that existed back in the 1800s with that same essence, without, but we have never seen it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's kind of like, and you know how it is, you know, playing and back in those era, 1800s, 1900s, kind of like being a different gender or sexual orientations other than heterosexual had to be hidden, and you try to hide it. So I felt that perhaps this character was kind of like trying to hide something, but yet you still kind of like see some of his different essence coming through. So for me, I wanted to do that. And for that reason, sometimes the character might be like, why is he sound like perhaps too soft? And it's because the director was okay with that. The director was okay with like I said, perhaps reintroducing a different kind of characters in that genre. Perhaps, I don't know if there's any other Western where characters like that have been represented,
Right.
you know, without being made fun of, because my character was not meant to be to poke fun of any type of gender identity or anything like that.
Right.
He just being himself doing a job, and you know what the job was kind of like be the basically the voice of my boss, played by Benjamin Bratt. So playing with, going back to your question, playing and playing, and that's what it is, really playing with Christoph Waltz, Willem Dafoe, Benjamin Bratt, Rachel Brosnahan, just to name a few. It was such a joy. It was such a learning experience. You always learn so much from other actors.
And you know what? I have to jump in for a second, because you played ball with them. It was, you were like, it wasn't like, yes, we knew that there were Academy Award winners and nominees and this and that, but the cast was just like, you were like a piece in that puzzle that fits so perfectly.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I must say that I am proud of the work that I did, especially because you know that we opened in Venice, Venice Film Festival in Italy. That's where we had the opening, and you know that the Venice Film Festival is one of the top film festivals, and it's a global event. So to have comments from not just people in Hollywood, but even the head of the film festival approaching me and telling me, I watched the film before today, and I just wanted to come and tell you that I really enjoy your performance. To me, that meant a lot. And I mean, I'm just sharing this with you guys because I think as fellow actors, we do understand each other, and we understand what that means to us as actors, what that means, you know, when someone comes to you and you feel that they're being honest about their appreciation for the work that we do, you know, it's really meaningful because you just feel it. And I got a lot of nice words from my cast members as well. So for me, I'm happy with the work I did. You know, as usual, actors, we always kind of like start like picking and being like, oh my God, I could have done better here. I could have done that. But then it's like, I mean, overall, that's in the bigger picture, I am happy with the work that I've done, and I hope people who get to watch it enjoy it. You know.
Oh well, it's really, I'm so glad. I mean, I didn't just rent it; I bought it on Amazon Prime.
I am Esteban Romero at your service. I will translate.
Tiberio asked if you, like so many others, are here to seek gold.
We all work for money.
This man you killed was doing serious business with Tiberio Vargas.
Tiberio Vargas, I keep hearing the name. You put a gun in it, and it's the devil's right hand.
Say, I'm getting back to that word that you used, essence, and you used your essence in the role of the character. And then in your own life, as you're on the red carpet, you used your essence there too. You were you know, so
Yeah.
you had short hair in the film, you had you came out in this gorgeous outfit with this gorgeous long hair,
It's so funny. I mean, I hadn't seen. We shot this back in August 2021, last year, and when Christoph Waltz saw me at the red carpet, he did a double take, and he's like, "I didn't even recognize you." And then I was just being smart. I said, "Well, that's what we do as actors, right? It's like you're not supposed to be recognized, because it's like, I mean, that's a character. I'm not gonna come here with my short hair and the hat and all of that, But for me, I think it was important. Representation, and I know that this is a phrase that we hear all the time, but we really need to kind of like understand what it means and how it really is important. Representation, yes, it's very important to represent who we are in real life, and to, whenever we are out of character and we have a stage, to kind of like represent those of us who fall within the same category is so important. For me, it was important that my natural energy showed on that red carpet.
Yeah.
Which was that I'm not a heterosexual actor. I'm not that. I'm not gonna put on a black suit like the other handsome man we're wearing in that group photo on the red carpet. It's so interesting because if you notice, it was even without any planning. Every one of the cast members, including the director, they were all wearing their black suits. Rachel Brosnahan, the only female star, was wearing pink. And there, the non-binary actor, me, I was wearing a pink jacket and black pants, which was kind of like the merge of the two, the man and the woman. Right. It's like I was kind of like combining without even planning, because I had no idea she was going to be wearing pink. And the red carpet, she was like, "Oh my God!" It's like, we're matching. I said, "Oh." I said, "Yeah." I said, I just joked. I said, "Oh, I had a private eye on you, trying to figure out what you were going to wear." So it was such a nice, empowering. When you guys as actors, because you never know, when you guys as actors get an opportunity to walk on such a global stage, you're gonna know the feeling. And I hope you all experience the feeling that I felt of a feeling of approval of your work, a feeling of reassurance, because a lot of times as actors, we doubt ourselves. We actually say, how come I haven't worked again? Did I become a bad actor? Is it that I became what? We start kind of like questioning so many things. But once you go on the red carpet and you see the people's approval of your work, oh my God, it feeds you. It feeds your soul. It feeds your reassurance. For me, it was such a beautiful moment to be walking there. It was the first time that I had the opportunity, and I hope it's not the last, to kind of like walk on such a global stage and to kind of like feel all of that. It shows on my face. It shows that I felt that I belonged. And again, I say it humbly, because for me, a lot of times you can go years without working, and not by choice. Not by choice. And it's not that you guys or I became a bad actor. It's just that for whatever reason, circumstances are out of our hands. So I don't want to go another year without working. So for that reason, I'm trying to kind of like start getting together with fellow actor friends of mine, so that way we can start producing our own thing. So that way we're always producing.
Well, I don't see how you can't get out there again, because this was so powerful that people would say, "Hey, let's call him up about the role, that we have for him." Yeah. Listen, I wanted to bring on some of our wonderful other performers here. We'll start with Natalie Oden. Natalie Oden, let's see, we'll add you. There we go.
Hi.
Hi, Natalie.
So my question for you is, what got you interested in acting?
For me, I grew up in a small town in Mexico. My uncle had a makeshift theater, of sorts that, because we're in a small village, they only show movies in the dark at nighttime. So for me, I remember as a child, I always wanted to go and watch the movies. We didn't have the money. I would tell my mom, but he's my uncle. He's not going to charge us. But she's like, no, he's going to charge you. So don't even go. So I would fall asleep crying because I felt that if I cried louder and longer, my mom was going to be like, yeah, let's send him to the movies. So I would fall asleep actually crying and drawing stick figures of what I thought the storyline of the movie that was playing would be. So say if the name of the movie was like Blue Demon, which was a Mexican boxer versus the vampires, then I would start kind of like drawing the storyboarding. And actually, now that I think about it, that would be storyboarding. But it was like something that later in life, when I grew up and I actually got to watch the movies that I did as a child, I was like, wait, my movies were better than the actual movie. So for me as a child, I think I already had that creativity. I feel that a lot of times when we're born, we just have like a gifts, and the only thing that we do when we grow is we develop them. We start, like growing those gifts. And for me, it's so important, I guess, for anyone, any child that shows any type of like talent, leaning towards acting or music, whatever, it's kind of like really feed that, talent, because then they can really do something great, if we actually, feed that talent. So for me, I think it was just the fact that I was also very, I think I enjoy doing artistic things like folklorical dances in school productions, when I was in elementary. So I always had that, like, I like entertaining people. And it's so funny because once I came to the US, because of the language barrier, I became so introverted. I was so shy, the circumstances were just like, oh my God. And then, so really, I must say, I think for me, it was just something that I always had in myself. I just didn't know that I could actually make a career of it until I came into the US. And being that when I moved here, I lived in Pico Rivera, which is not too far from, I live in Hollywood, but it's only like 25 miles from Hollywood. And when I was in high school, when I got into, even though I had moved here, my English was so limited, I decided that I wanted to take a theater class. My high school offered a drama program, which I think is so important, the arts in high school. I mean, it's like, if anybody has any kind of like curiosities about it, that really kind of like open roads to it. So for me, I took that class in high school, drama class. I never participated in any production or anything because all of the exercises were improv and my English was really bad. I had only been here for a year. So I was intimidated by it, but they would bring us to on field trips to Hollywood to watch the tapings of sitcoms. So for me, that was like, oh my God, it's like people can actually bring joy by just doing what they love. So for me, that was the thing that I thought, well, I live 25 miles from Hollywood where everybody's doing it. Why would I not do it? So when I graduated from high school, I told my parents, and the rest, is history. I mean, there's so many bumps and highs and lows, but I think it's just putting yourself out there. And nowadays with all this technology, I guess anybody who really wants to develop and show their acting skills is possible. Now, there is a difference. If you just want to act without thinking of making a career and because it brings you joy, great. Nobody's going to stop you. It's going to be a little bit more difficult if you want to make it a career and support yourself financially with that. But if you just want to do it because you love it, then there's no limits to it,
Right.
Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
It did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you.
You mentioned the word joy. What is your biggest joy in life?
Seeing my parents healthy. I think that's what it is. I think as we grow older, our priorities change and we do realize how important family is. And for me to see my dad not crying because of his chronic arthritis, that brings me joy. So for me, seeing them healthy and making sure that they are okay, that's joyful overall, I think. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry I got like that. It's just that probably, but
No,
that's where it
where
is.
it comes from. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. It's like right now I'm a lot of the time with my mom, so I'm there with you.
Okay, so you understand what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for me that's where it is. And look, growing up as a child, I think your parents always will perhaps try to pull the reins a little too hard on you, because they will try to shape you into what they believe. It is an actual belief. It is the best for you. Now, they might be ill-informed, but they don't know that. They feel that that's the way to do it right. So in those times, your parents perhaps could be abusive or being mean to you without realizing it. But I choose not to let that allow me to grow and be understanding of why they did it, even though it was wrong. And for me, just to kind of like see how much do I love this person, and I just appreciate it for who they are now, rather than trying to kind of like incorporate whatever things they did in the past that might not be nice to me. You know, because I guess when we love someone, we really love them. We want to make sure that they are okay, not trying to get in guilt trips because, oh, you did this, so I'm gonna restrict my love for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Oh no, thank you for asking.
Yeah. Okay, we have Lanzarote record. There he is.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I have a question for you. Okay.
Yes.
Number one, who inspired you to become an actor?
Okay. I don't think there is one single person, or be it a family member or be it a star, who really inspired me to become an actor. I think, and going back to representation, I think that when I came to the US, the representation of people like me, which is indigenous people, non-binary people, was almost non-existent. So I can say that, oh, I saw this actor who looked like me, and then I was like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. No, that did not exist. Luckily, things have changed, you know, for any race and for any type of like gender identity, things have changed. That's so great, because now it's so much easier for people to feel motivated and feel that they can actually accomplish what they want to do. So I think for me, going back to to what I forgot what her name is. For me, I feel that it's just something that I just knew that I enjoy without knowing what it was. You know, it's kind of like when you just like something, it's like you just like it, but you don't quite know why you like entertaining people or becoming different characters, you know, and things like that. So for me, I think that perhaps it was more like what rather than who inspired me. I think what inspired me to become an actor was the circumstances that I grew up in, you know, where there was no television. There was really no other ways to entertain yourselves but to just become creative, you know. So I think that's what it is, the circumstances, my surroundings in Mexico being so limited to very few things, where it forced me to be creative and just kind of like be like curious about things.
Okay, I have question number two. In the TV series Crash, what were you feeling or thinking in the scene when you took the shoe off of the deceased elderly man, then put on his shoes?
Okay, if I understand correctly, you are asking what's the meaning behind that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a series that I did so many years ago. I think that director, I don't know if you noticed that my character Caesar was barefoot. He didn't have no shoes because prior in the story, this character, he's an illegal Guatemalan immigrant trying to make it into the United States. But on his journey through Mexico, Mexicans recognize him as him being Guatemalan. And unfortunately, this happens a lot still. A lot of these immigrants that go through Mexico to get to the US, they get robbed by Mexicans, or they get assaulted, or they get whatever. So and previously in the story, this character, Caesar, my character, had been robbed from everything. He was left shoeless. That's why he was detained by the Mexican immigration and put in these cages to be processed. And he was without any shoes because they stole them from him. So now that he's there, he noticed that this other immigrant going to Mexico has died, and he's got a pair of shoes. He figures, well, he's not gonna need them anymore, and I do. So I guess that's why he decides to kind of like take him. But if you remember, I think he doesn't kind of like blessing or something like that before he does that, out of respect. It wasn't like he was just stealing it, because obviously the guy was not gonna need it anymore. The guy is dead, he's died. So he was respectfully kind of like saying, well, thank you for this, but I can use it and you don't need it anymore. I think that was the meaning of it.
Thank you.
He had a lot. Yeah.
Oh, you were going to say, Luis?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that, you know, the character had a long journey ahead of him, you know, kind of like going through Mexico to get to the States, and barefoot, you're not going to make it far. So.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lanzarote.
You're welcome.
And thank you for putting that Mexican flag on the background.
Right. You know, and the thing is, he has that all the time.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
I'm curious now, Lorenzo, right?
Lanzarote, here, we'll get you back on, Lanzarote.
Yeah. Now let me turn the tables on him and let me ask him. Is there a reason as to why you have the Mexican flag as your background?
We'll have you unmute yourself, Lanzarote.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And my flag, it's called Spanish flag.
Okay. Do you know that's from Mexico? I am from Mexico.
Yeah, it's a Mexico flag.
Yeah. Do you just like the colors, or is there any other reason as to why you have it as your background?
It's the colors.
Okay. Yeah, those are nice colors. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And aren't you learning another language now, Lanzarote?
Yes, I speak Spanish.
Oh, great. Qué bueno. Okay. Gracias.
Gracias.
That's great. You know, I think, I mean, I think he's learning Spanish and Chinese, if I'm correct. So.
Oh, wow. That's a difficult one. I guess Spanish, I mean, any language, I guess. Some people have the ability to just learn it and really quick. Like right now, what I'm trying to do is trying to learn Maya.
Oh.
And as you know, the movie Wakanda Forever, have you watched it?
Yes, I saw it yesterday.
Okay, so Tenoch Huerta, who is, he, is it Namor, Namor or Namor, the name of the character?
Yeah.
His name, I read that there might be a spin-off based just on his character, movie just on that. And the language that they speak is Mayan. So being that I am from Mexico, I just felt that, not only that it would help me in my career if that were to be the case, and if they're like looking for actors who speak Mayan, but also I feel that it's kind of like reconnecting with my roots in Mexico. I probably am not Mayan, because Mayan is more from the south, from Yucatan and all of that, and Guatemala. But I think it's great to kind of like also reconnect with my roots. And Mayan, I think, is one of the easiest languages from the other ones in Mexico, because there's like 30 something different ethnic groups in Mexico. It's the Aztecs, the Toltecs, the Olmecs, Purépechas, which I think that's what that I might be a Purépecha. And Tenoch Huerta is half Purépecha, which probably we are from the same ethnic group in Mexico, in Michoacan. So yeah, so now that that language has been given visibility by Marvel, you know, in the storylines, I think it's important to kind of like prepare yourself. As actors, we need to do that. We have to kind of like be in the lookout. Okay, what is coming up? What can I do? Is that something that is of interest to me? You know, to kind of like, you know, get you know, perhaps, you know, be preparing ourselves to be ready in case the opportunity comes. And if it doesn't, well, you either just learn a new trade that you enjoy doing, a new trade, or a new hobby that perhaps you enjoy doing, or a new language. So it's fulfilling both professionally and personally. So
Well, it's such beautiful languages too. I mean, every time I hear Spanish, I go, you know, it's such,
yes. Do you speak Spanish?
un poquito español.
Okay, yeah.
Gracias.
Gotcha.
And a few other things I can't talk about here. Of course.
Yes.
One thing before we go to the next person who wants to ask you a question. I mean, you've done so many. I mean, he brought up one of the roles in Crash, but you've been on Angel, Malcolm in the Middle, ER, Terminator, Ocean's 13, Lincoln High, you know, I could keep on going. Is there a role that sticks out for you that you did, or a memory of a moment in production that you say, this was a moment that was powerful for me?
I've always said, and it hasn't changed, I've been asked this question before, and for me, up to date, the one role that I feel that meant the most to me was a guest star episode for a TV series that I did called Sleeper Cell. And I did not even play Hispanic. This is during the time that it was okay to cast outside of ethnicity, you know? I played an Afghani youth who had been separated during, you know, when the US attacked Afghanistan during George Bush era and all of that.
Yeah.
So this character was this Afghani youth who had been separated from his family during the US invasion of Afghanistan. I mean, that's what I call it. They call it something else historically. And he was accused of being part of the Taliban and sent to Guantanamo Bay. And when he was actually released after 2 years of being in Guantanamo Bay, he went back to Afghanistan and he realized that his whole family had been killed by US forces. So he now had, whereas before he didn't have any hatred towards the US, he got recruited by the Taliban, and they prepared him to come and join a terrorist sleeper cell in LA, for him to become part of that cell and create mayhem in Los Angeles. At the time, I was cast to do Walkout. So I said no to Walkout because there were shooting conflicts.
Right.
They were shooting at the same time, and then I said, I told my agent, I prefer to do Sleeper Cell, even though it's just one episode, versus Walkout in such a movie. So then I had a meeting with they said, okay, well, you're not gonna do Walkout because shooting conflicts, blah blah blah. Then as you know, Edward James Olmos, he had a table read, and they said, well, we know that Luis is not gonna be in Walkout, but can he come help us out with the table read? And I said, sure. So I went to do the table read. It's not gonna hurt me, you know, I'm not doing the movie. Then Edward James Olmos asked me, he's like, why are you turning down Walkout if it has such an important storyline about Chicano rights in history, you know? And I said to him, it's because this other show also has a bigger message. And at the time, it was important to be told how the US went into a country and basically destroyed lives. And they were actually making people hate them. And for me, I was so passionate about the fact that all these Arab countries were actually just being attacked, and they really didn't have anybody speaking out for themselves. These communities did not have a voice. There were no Arab actors who were actually kind of like giving a voice to that. And the director for that episode, he happened to be from Lebanon. You know, he wasn't like an American director. The director for that episode was someone from Lebanon, someone Arab. And he told me, look, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket by hiring you, a non-Arab actor. But I did it because you understand, once again, the character, you know. Of course, he auditioned other Arab actors, but he just felt that they did not give them the sympathy or the what the character needed.
Yeah.
So for me, I told Edward James Olmos, the representation and these people who are suffering right now in the Middle East, who nobody's speaking out for themselves, they need a voice, and I want to be that voice, and that's why I'm choosing this one single guest star in one episode versus an HBO movie.
Yeah.
If you ask any other actor, they'd be like, let's go with the HBO film. It's a
Right.
movie. The other one is one episode for, I think it was Showtime.
Yeah.
So for me, at the time, it didn't matter. Like, it's one guest star versus an HBO movie. For me, it was like the importance. You know, what do I want to be part of? So up to date, to me, that's the biggest and the most important, significant role that I've ever played. Even though I wasn't playing Hispanic, I was playing an Afghani youth. I just felt that the pain and everything, you know, at the time I was just so upset with the US government for doing what they were doing that all of that came across. If you watch that episode, I think it's called Immigrant, and it's on season 1 of Sleeper Cell. I think it's available on all the platforms. So for me, that's, and also because I felt it, like for me, if you ask me, what do you think is the one role that you do your best work in? I'd say that one. And that was many years ago, but I feel that just because all that anger that I had withheld within me because of the impotence that of what the US was doing to these countries, it shows within my character. You can actually see that, you know, the character is as angry as I am, you know, and so impotent. So for me, yeah, that's the one role that I still consider to be the one that I'm the most, I guess, passionate about, and I feel happy with. But not that the other ones, you know, but.
Yeah, no, what a story that is. But, and didn't you ultimately do Walkout as well?
Oh, okay. So so it happens. I went to do the table read, and then after I talked to Eddie, because he asked me, why are you basically turning us down, your own people? You know, we have an interesting story that is going to be playing, blah blah blah. And I said, yes, but this is my other reason, you know. And then he said, I got to have you in the film. And then I said, well, but you can, because shooting schedules. He said, he called his one of his production people, and he said, what can we do in order to have Luis in our film? And I told him, you don't have to, because I know how difficult it is to kind of like switch production schedules just because someone, and I'm not a star. So they said, well, we can do this and that. And I believe, I'm not quite sure, but I think that in some of the scenes that I was supposed to be in, I ended up not being because it wasn't that important. Right. But that's because of a scheduling conflicts. Now, I have one of the most amazing things, tiring, yes, but I think that's what we actors live for, was that I finished shooting Sleeper Cell like around 5 o'clock in the morning over here by Runyon Canyon, by Griffith Park.
Right.
That's where we shot that episode. So it's basically 5 a.m. and I had to be on set to start shooting Walkout at 7 a.m. in Pasadena.
Oh no!
So I drove straight from wrapping up over here just with enough time to make, and I have been working all day, all night long, doing Sleeper Cell. But I had to drive straight to Pasadena to start shooting Walkout. Yeah. And I was so tired, but that I just kept on jumping, you know, like up and down so that way I could re-energize myself and everything. But for me, I think that's what we actors live for, you know, to kind of like go from, I mean, like to go from one project to the other within 2 hours, you know, it's like you're driving and just kind of like trying to get rid of your character. You're like, okay, Win is taking away this other Afghani character, and I'm supposed to be Payaso, this high school student from East LA now, you know. So it's like it was beautiful, and I think as actors, we enjoy that. We don't mind having to kind of like rush from one set to another.
Wow, I love that story. Listen, do you have 10 more minutes?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful, because I want to bring on Shannon Dierex now. I know she sent in a question, and she, look at that face, just look at it.
Hey,
Hi.
I do have a question for you.
Hi.
What is it like to work on weeds?
What was it like to work on weeds? That one job I only was in for one episode, I believe. You know, there are so many shows that a lot of times as actors we don't watch. We don't watch because I mean there are too many. So for me, I wasn't familiar with the show. I wasn't familiar with any of the actors. So so for me, a lot of times, excuse me, I gotta go close the window because it's kind of like loud.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, I'm
It's
so sorry about
Hollywood. It's Hollywood.
it. I know, I'm so sorry.
No. You heard it
Yeah.
louder than we did.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, it was just striking me. So for me, I didn't know any. I can't remember. Is it Mary Lois Parker? I can't remember her name. But basically, I didn't know any of the cast members. So I think a lot of times for an actor that can be helpful because you are not preconditioned to feel intimidated by their credits or their fame or anything. You just go in there to play with another actor, you know? And I think that's how we should approach it. So for me, it was just fun. It was a very small role for me to, like I say, it was only one episode, but it's always nice. It's always nice to be on set. I don't think I have a single experience where I'm like, oh my God, I regret being in that thing so far. Because I think it's like we enjoy what we do, right? It's like if we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't be doing it. I'm not flipping burgers because I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I think that's the whole goal of it. Like once you start feeling that it becomes a hassle, it becomes a job, and you're like, oh, I have to kind of go to set. That means that perhaps it's time for you to start looking into another part of that career, you know, like or that diversify. Just because you know you can go into casting, you can go into other things that also kind of like have to do with entertainment and all of that. So.
Good question. Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, one person I talked to this morning who I haven't talked to in a long time said hello, and he said, working with you, you're just wonderful. From Dead for a Dollar, Scott Pete.
Oh wow. Scott.
Yeah, we used to work together, and we keep in touch now and then. So we reconnected, and he said, please say hello for me.
Oh, Scott, it's such a pleasure to work with, such a gentle soul. I mean, different than his character in Dead for a Dollar.
Right?
Yeah, it's you know, that's another one of the great things, I guess, of what we do as actors, you know, is that you get to make friendships that are long lasting and are honestly. I feel that most of my friendships, and probably you know this, David, Walkout, I think, besides being a film that's still being shown, and I don't know if you know this, but in a lot of the high schools, they show this film during their classes. I can't remember what subject, but because all of my nephews and nieces who have gone to high school here in LA, they told me, Uncle, we watched your movie today. I'm like, what do you mean? Walkout. They teach it to them. They show it to them.
Right.
So just like what Eddie said, yeah, this film has an important message, you know, and it's being shown to people. But besides the gratifications of the work, what Walkout did is also that it gave me a family. It gave me a lot of the actors from that film are my friends. We're still kind of like brothers and sisters. Walter Perez, Douglas Spain, Jesse Garcia, David Devora, I mean, Efren Ramirez. It's just kind of like being an actor really kind of like allows you that brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever, you know, that you just feel like, okay, we're family because you understand each other, you know. So that's the one of the great things. And in this case, meeting Scott was really nice. You just keep on expanding your circle of acquaintances and friends, and you know, it was really great. So hopefully we get to do it again with Scott. So
Yeah, bring everybody together.
exactly.
We have time for one more question. Not everybody will get it this time, as we know, but we're trying to get as many people as possible. Let's see, Alan Davis. Let's see where I'm going to try to find Alan Davis on here. He had this question that was, where are we? Alan, I just saw, there he is. Ta-da!
Hello, Alan.
Hi, Luis. You mentioned a while back that you really fed off of other actors and they got you out of the blues in one. How do you fight the blues when that doesn't happen? How do you get yourself going again?
I'm sorry, the blues?
Yeah, the blues, depression. Like, do you ever get depressed?
Oh, that, of course, yes, obviously. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that's basically part of us being artists. I think it comes with the territory, because we have to have some sort of, I don't want to sound extreme, but masochism, because when we start acting, they're going to tell us, it's not going to be easy. Most likely you're not going to succeed. Forget about it. You're like, yeah, sign me up. I want to do it. You know, it's like, you're like, what? It's like you're being told all the cons. Nobody's giving you any pros. Like, oh, this is what you might get, because reality
beaten over the head.
No, the reality is that, you know, like most likely a very small percentage is going to make a living. But the thing is that we still have the dream, we still have the desire. And I think that's what actually feed us. And just, I think, in my case, you talk about being depressed. Of course, I do get depressed sometimes, because I'm thinking, my God, I haven't booked anything. Like I was telling David, have I become a bad actor, or what happened with me? You know, we start questioning ourselves and our talent. But then it's like, the one thing that reaffirms me that I am in the right career is the fact that I'm like, okay, I have 40 plus credits, and none of them were my friends before I started working in those projects. So I know for a fact that they did not give me that job because they were my friends, or because they were feeling sorry for me, because that doesn't work. Nobody's going to give you a role because they feel sorry for you and they want to make you happier. They're going to give it to you because they know that you got something to offer to the character, and they're going to make hopefully money off of that. It's a business after all. So for me, when I find myself doubting my talent, I go back to that. Well, those 40 plus producers were not wrong, and they saw talent in me. So that means that I've got it. So that is reaffirming. And as originally, like I was telling David, like if somebody, a fellow actor, gives you a compliment, because we understand each other, you know, we know what it's like to be an actor. So when an actor gives you, a fellow actor gives you a compliment about your work, oh, that's so it fits your soul, because, you know, like, oh, you get me, because you know what it's like to create a character. You know, it is easy for someone who's not an actor to be like, oh, that performance was bad. Yeah, well, try it. You try doing it, and then you'll see that it's not that easy, you know. So I guess just kind of like knowing and I know that a lot of times we're feeling really blue. We are gonna doubt ourselves, and we are gonna have a list this long as to the reasons why we shouldn't do it. But then what we have to do is kind of like try to go into this smaller list of things, of reaffirmations and compliments that people have given you, and feed off of those rather than the long list of things. Yeah. I hope that yeah.
And a meditation, actually. Yeah.
Oh, meditation. You know what? I tried meditating myself. I just find it very hard for me to do. It's very hard for me to do, because I guess I tried different methods, and my brain is always kind of like thinking, and I cannot just keep it quiet.
But what I meant was really that what you're saying is a sort of meditation. You're controlling your thinking.
There you go. Yeah, and but you know very well that a lot of times it's so hard to control our thinking, because our brain is just gonna go off and think what it wants to think, you know. So I guess finding again, reaffirmation in the positive is the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So one more question that I have for you before we let you back into the world of showbiz or life is actually, what do you want the most at this moment in your life?
You know, as I was saying, I feel that representation is important. I identify once again as a non-binary indigenous person. Do I see that representation in television, in media, in film much? Unfortunately, not yet. Yes, there is non-binary representation, but a lot of times it comes in the form of youth trying to figure out their gender identity. And people like me on my age range is not represented. Why? Because perhaps we came late to the party. Because for me, I'm going to speak on a personal level. For the longest time, people just label me as the gay person who liked a challenge when it came to dating, because I was attracted perhaps to people who identify as, just say, heterosexual, right? So I feel that now when I come across, when I come out and I tell people I identify as non-binary, a lot of times people still feel that non-binary people are only young people who are just figuring out their gender identity. So I don't see a lot of these characters. I don't see a lot of non-binary older characters represented on television. Can you tell me one? I mean, maybe I'm missing out a show or a movie. Can you name one movie or a TV show where someone is non-binary within my age range? I can't think of one.
I can't either, but I know you're going to do it.
And that's what's important to me right now. Like, I want that. And I also want to represent my roots, being indigenous, but I want to represent it in a way that it's more genuine and authentic. Because by me saying I'm indigenous doesn't mean that I'm going to be wearing a feather headdress, or I'm going to be wearing like poor clothing. I mean, yeah, there is indigenous people who are poor, but also there is such a variety of people, so I want to represent also that part of me in a more global context. So that's important to me, and that's something that, like I was mentioning to you earlier, I'm trying to work with my friends in creating something that is more representative of so many different things. Not just only that, also like people with who are differently abled. I want that to be inclusive, and in a way that it's not just like your stereotypical representation of, oh, that's what that is. No, differently abled people also have love issues, also have family issues, also have like all these different things. So I think it's like kind of like be representing that in a more organic, realistic way, rather than your stereotypical points or talking points that everybody already knows. I think that's important. So for me, honestly, truth in representation is what I'm hoping to work on next.
Thank you, Louise.
Beautiful, don't you know?
Oh, thank you, David. It's a pleasure to talk among actors.
Of course. And back to what you were just saying too, the balance of society and the essence of yourself and bringing it all together into your work.
Yeah. And I know that little by little, producers are opening up to the idea of real authenticity of diversity in films. And I don't know if you read you watch one of my stories on Instagram. For example, in 2008, and if I have time to share this anecdote,
Sure.
In 2008, I worked in a film comedy called High School, emphasis on high. So the director, John Stolberg Jr., 2008. So at the time I was just like younger and I played a high school student and blah, blah, blah. And then because of, I'm trying to be genuine on my Instagram feed as to my true essence of who I am. So he saw my true essence, which is different than 2008, when he cast me in a movie. So he approached me and he said, look, I'm doing this film. It's an action film. Aaron Eckhart is in it. He's the main guy, and I'm his nemesis, if you will.
Yeah.
And he says, I want this character. I wrote this script, and I would like you to play this role. And I read the script. The script is written as if the character that he offered me was to be shade-headed, tattooed, like Mexican, gangster, Hector. Even the name was Hector. Like Hector and blah, blah, blah. He is like the head of this kind of like, drug thing, cartel or whatever. And then when he approached me with this role and I said, he's like, oh, I want the character to be non-binary. Basically infuse it with your essence. So basically the fact that he was so open based on how I represent myself on social media to say, I think I want to give it a twist to this story. And instead of being your stereotypical Hector, I want to infuse it with this guy's energy or this person's energy. So we had a talk and I said, wow, thank you for actually seeing me and seeing that energy. And we shot the film. The film is in post-production right now.
What is it called?
It's called Muzzle, like the muzzle for the dog. Yeah, so we shot that in Louisville, Kentucky, at the beginning of the year, a few months ago. Yeah, I said beginning, it was actually a few months ago. We shot that, and my role is minor, but it's an important role. And the fact that he decided to go and have this character not be your stereotypical Hector, but to become this non-binary character, to the point that he said, Hector is not a name that this character would have. How about we give it a different name? So he chose a random name, a made-up name. So my character now it's got a different name. It's not Hector anymore because he wanted it to go with my energy, which is non-binary and all of that. Yeah. So that's what I meant. But by now, like producers are opening up their eyes and being more inclusive, little by little. But they're becoming more inclusive of saying, you know what, that could be interesting. Instead of having your stereotypical Hector shaved head and tattooed guy, we're gonna have this non-binary, kind of like powerful, kind of like character be the nemesis of Aaron Eckhart's cop character. So yeah, that's a film that it's in post-production right now. So hopefully when it comes out, you guys get to watch it. I don't know when it's gonna come out. Like I said, we just wrapped it up a few months ago. Right. So yeah.